This week on The Insiders, our deciders are mostly still deciding on which presidential candidate to support in the Iowa caucuses, but hear the words they use to describe their choices. Plus, what former Lieutenant Governor Patty Judge learned when she talked small-town Iowa with those out-of-town visitors traveling this state. And in the Insider's Quick Six, beef. Remember that old saying, it's what's for dinner? But what happens when some people think it no longer should be?
From your local election headquarters, this is The Insiders with Dave Price.
Welcome to The Insiders. One more week. February 3rd presidential caucuses mean decision time, of course, for Iowans. Now, Republicans have the president running for re-election, although he does have two challengers here. But Democrats, like they have for the past 2 years, have many options. Our first two guests have helped us over the past 3 months kind of navigate our way into the minds of some Iowans who are undecided about the caucus choice. Bradley Knott's a managing partner at Essman Research, and he's an adjunct professor in political communication at the University of Iowa. Hello, sir.
Thank you.
And Deb Stearns is the market research director also at Essman Research in West Des Moines. Thanks for being here.
You bet, thank you.
All right, Madam Researcher, let's start with you. So we come up with this project, and people have asked me, hey, you found these people, these 9 people from all over the state, all the congressional districts, so it was representative of the whole state, and you made sure that they were undecided. How do you, as a researcher, make sure they're not pulling one over your eyes here and saying, well, I really like this person, but I'm going to tell you I'm undecided? How do you do that?
Well, we built in a series of questions in a recruitment screener, and we asked these Iowans a series of questions as far as their voting capabilities. And one of the questions that we asked them if they had planned to participate in the Iowa caucuses and to what degree, and also their rationale for whether they're decided or undecided. So we had a scale, and they responded to that scale.
And you gave me a peek at some of this. You do it in a number of ways, so you can try. You don't just ask them one time.
Right.
I noticed you had other ways to really try to feel them out on this.
We did.
Brad, you have this side of things, but you've also been part of campaigns in years past here. So I'm curious, as you started this project, what were you most interested to find out from these folks?
Well, Dave, I mean, as you know, Iowans are famous for deciding late and notorious.
Which seems to be playing out again here,
It's
right?
playing out here, and they're famous for giving these candidates a real look and deciding late. So we wanted to kind of pull back from the horse race numbers about who's ahead in the polls or who's got the most endorsements, and really find out what these voters are thinking, so it might indicate how it's going to come out on caucus night.
Okay, let's see this in action here. So we'll watch the professor up at the whiteboard here. But you had asked our undecideds here, give you a few words about each one of these Democrats running for president. Here's what they said and what we learned.
Give me a couple words about Michael Bennett.
Who is he? I'm sorry, I read. I don't know. I don't know. Is that okay to admit?
I've actually sat down with him. He's actually a really great guy. He's not very charismatic at all. He's got some very good ideas. But
So I'm going to go with not charismatic.
No, he's more of a cabinet member than a leader.
What comes to mind about Joe Biden?
Conservative.
Conservative.
Both in the sense of being cautious, but also in the sense of being more to the right of any of the pack, probably.
But I think he's teachable. I have been observing. He listens.
Professor Wood.
And he responds, and he does the research. So,
but will he remember? That's the question. Will he remember that conversation? And no, I'm just kidding.
Do we want that up there? I mean,
well, it's a concern. It's a concern. I don't know how to articulate. The concern is just a lot of his gaffes and faux pas and stuff. I don't know how to.
There's a really good article about his stuttering issue and how many of his gaffes are a result of his blocking to gather the right word and overcome the stutter.
what comes to mind of Bernie?
Inspirational. Come on. He shifted the whole conversation, and some would argue
Absolutely.
that his ideas were usurped by Mr. TRUMP, at which point the having usurped them is what got him elected.
I like that inspirational, definitely.
Inspirational was good. I think about fire. He always speaks with a fire. So
Passion?
yeah.
And that sometimes is a negative as well as a positive.
only thing that scares me a little bit, he's had some health issues.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that kind of worries me, you know.
How about Elizabeth Warren?
Passionate,
Definitely.
progressive.
Organized.
Has a plan.
Yes.
Can we write jazz hands? Because she's got jazz hands.
Yes, she kind of does.
I know her passion is authentic, but it's just like she's overacting or something. I don't know.
We are to Mr. Steyer.
Steyer is an activist. That's why I like him. Because that's what he is.
And this goes with being
Some
an
of us like to
activist,
say
but I feel he's very driven in the way that he started the impeach movement before he,
Like
really
how
went
long
with his
ago?
candidacy.
Maybe he's hoping he'll get some traction if he keeps.
Andrew Yang.
Wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Personable.
Personable, okay. We haven't heard that.
I like his freshness. And what I mean by that is you take a look at everybody else and they seem, I don't want to say rehearsed, but they seem that, again, saying some of the same things. When he says things, they're pretty fresh. They're pretty, just...
Genuine?
Yeah.
Klobuchar.
Dull.
Drab.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah. God. She's
Anything else on her?
Yeah, hearing her talk is like watching paint dry.
I think she has a grasp of how to
Unite.
And to collaborate. And we need that. But we are going to get it.
See, and I think this for the same reason. I think that she's too centrist. I think she's too,
If you like the edge, she's not there.
How about John Delaney?
He's like the most boring white guy in the race. Not saying something.
There's a lot of those.
I know, but I think he's like outclasses them.
I kind of can't believe you just said that.
Buttigieg.
Centers.
I heard he was too young.
He's a privileged white guy in America, and he's LGBT. But I mean, yeah.
The Mayor Pete thing to me came off as saccharine sweet. And the moment I heard someone say, "Oh, but Mayor Pete," I was like, "Oh, that's how you want me to refer to a presidential candidate? Like, I'm not 5 years old. Like, oh, Mayor Pete, will you give me a sticker on my shirt? Oh, thanks."
All right, so they had a lot of different things and went all over the place with this, but there were a couple of themes, Brad, that I thought came out of this. They are really struggling to figure out their final choice still, even though we're coming down to the final days. They really, really want to defeat Donald Trump, and that seems to be their unifying force, but it's making their decision-making even tougher because they're thinking, well, which is the right person for that? What was your takeaway?
Well, I agree. Electability is a huge issue.
And it's hard to define.
It's very
what
hard
that
to
means,
define.
right?
Deb and I have been involved in Iowa politics for 30 plus years. Electability is always important when a party chooses its nominee, but I don't think we've ever seen it quite as important as it is this year. And the funny thing is, once you identify electability as the most important issue, it doesn't really tell you that much, because some of them think, electing a moderate who can win the white vote in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan is what electability means. Others think, we need some really liberal, strong, clear policies that differentiate from the Republicans, and a revolution, which is going to expand turnout. And then yet another group thinks, well, we need a new voice. Or even others think we need a candidate who can amass massive resources. So it was really hard to figure out what electability meant to them as a whole.
What's your takeaway?
I would agree. Issues were very important, but at the end of the day, when we asked them, is it issues or is it someone who can beat President Trump? It was somebody who can beat President Trump.
And they were very honest and very forceful
honest
about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, issues are important. No doubt, they talked about healthcare versus strengthening the ACA. They talked about income inequality, but really what they talked about it was in the context of electability, as in how does a Democrat running on Medicare for All, how does that impact turnout in beating Trump?
And we're going to have a lot of these other pieces coming up in the weeks ahead, so we don't want to spoil the ending. But thank you both, and thanks for your help with all this project.
Thank you.
Thank
When we come back, Iowa's former lieutenant governor and what she has learned talking with some of these presidential candidates. We'll talk to her next.